Bonjour traveler! Today I'm going to take you on a bike ride. We're going to go from the famous Bastille all the way to the Eiffel Tower. Today I'm going to ride my bike from the east side of the city towards the west side. Lately, the city of Paris has managed to create many bike lanes that will allow us to have a better ride along the streets of the city and get to some of the most famous highlights. In this moment we are at the Place de la Bastille, where the famous Bastille prison used to be. Nowadays we have a big monument, some marks on the streets as well, and there in the background you can see the modern opera Bastille. This is a pretty busy area. There are many restaurants, a lot of bars. It's a pretty young area. Now we are heading towards the famous neighborhood called Le Marais, which has many narrow streets. It's a pretty old neighborhood. Sometimes the streets are so narrow that we have to find our way. Many streets have cobblestones, so it's pretty tempting to ride the bicycle on the sidewalks, although that's not supposed to happen. And right now we have arrived to the Place de Vosges, one of the most beautiful spots in the Marais area. This is perfect to do a picnic, to just relax. There are art galleries around, a lot of nice cafes and restaurants. You also have the house of the famous writer Victor Hugo. So it's a wonderful place to hang out, to relax, and to learn a bit of history as well. Now we're heading towards the south part of Le Marais. We're crossing Rivoli Street. And right at this corner is where the famous singer Jim Morrison died. Pretty hard to find his house. More narrow streets, a lot of buildings under renovation because we're getting ready for the Olympics in 2024, so we better have Paris in very good condition. In between this very old neighborhood, we also have schools, a lot of youth around here. So it's a quite residential neighborhood. We also have old buildings, like for example this one, Hotel de Seine, which is 15th century or medieval construction, and today it's a public library, accessible to everybody. So now we are really close to the River Seine. On the left side of this bike path, passing the river, we have the Ile de Saint-Louis, the St. Louis Island, one of the most expensive places to live in the city. Very residential, but also one of the favorite spots for tourists that already know Paris and know those charming spots that you cannot miss. So now we are approaching the city center. We are right behind the city hall. Arrived to the front of the city hall that we call the Hôtel de Ville in French. Here is where the mayor of the city works, where the most important decisions about the city's administration are taken. It's a place where people hang out a lot of kids. There are many activities, and it's just some blocks away from Notre-Dame Cathedral that you can see at this moment in front of us. You can see the Conciergerie. This is the old palace of the city, all the way to the 1400s. Then it was transformed into a prison, and today it's one of the most interesting museums we have in the French capital. In the past, streets like the one we are riding right now were only for cars, but several years ago the mayor of the city decided to close them down for the cars and open them for pedestrians and bikes and roller skates and so on. So it's one of the most comfortable places to hang out, just relax, no worry about traffic, have a drink with a friend, sit down, just sunbathe a little bit, and stroll with the rest of Parisians that absolutely love to hang out at the Riverside. This tunnel that used to be for cars, now it is the best way for bike riders to go all the way from the city center to the Louvre or the famous Tuileries Garden right in front of the museum. Now we have arrived to the Concorde Square, or Place de la Concorde in French, one of the most important historical places. Here we have a 3,000-year-old obelisk that belongs to the Temple of Luxor. It's right here in France, in this square, which used to be the most important place during the French Revolution. parks and gardens are all restricted during this time that we are dealing with the coronavirus still. So that's why you see so many barriers. And right now we are at the Jardin des Champs-Élysées, which is, well, the garden from the Champs-Élysées. Many people ignore that the Champs-Élysées has a big section that is all green. Again, perfect to stroll, relax, do a picnic. And it's just along the famous boulevard des Champs-Élysées. So it's not all about shopping, but also relaxing and enjoying nature. In this area is where the famous house of the president is, the Palais de l'Élysée. Now we are directly at the Champs-Élysées in the lower part. If you keep going up the street, you will find all the commerce. But now we're crossing the Champs-Élysées. We are heading to the left bank, to the other side of the river. For this, we have to pass in between two beautiful palaces. They were never used as palaces. These were exhibition centers made for a World Fair, the one of the 1900s. The Great and the Little Palace. So we're almost by the River Seine, and we're going to cross one of the most beautiful bridges of the city. This is the Pont Alexandre III, or the bridge Alexander III, which is famous for those 4 gilded statues that decorate it. From this bridge you have beautiful view. Many movies have been made from this bridge, because you can see also the Eiffel Tower, and on the other side, like we are watching now, one of the most important highlights of the city. This important highlight is the Invalides Hotel, or Hôtel des Invalides in French. This used to be the residence for the soldiers of the king, but only the ones that were injured. That's why it's called the Invalides. Nowadays, it is Paris Military Museum. And also here you will find the tomb of the famous Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. So right now we are in district number 7, which is one of the most fancy neighborhoods of the city, very residential. Here you'll find many buildings with a famous style called Haussmann style, and also a street called Rue Claire. This street is very famous for all the food shops that it has. This is perfect to come and buy your groceries, buy wine, fresh fruits and vegetables, go to the bakery, the boulangerie, and have a drink or a proper meal, enjoying seeing the people pass. Almost there, yay! We're almost at the Eiffel Tower. We have arrived to the Champ de Mars, which is the park right in front of the Eiffel Tower. And it's quite common to see families here, lots of kids playing. It is a residential area as well, so it's common to see the locals around. During normal times, there are a lot of tourists in this area as well, but in May 2020, there are almost only locals around. And we made it to the Eiffel Tower. Thank you so much for discovering Paris with us. I hope you enjoyed the ride.